Minds Beneath Us is a strange and complex, story-driven cyberpunk adventure game that's light on gameplay mechanics but staggeringly heavy on branching, choices matter dialogue. But who could really blame it for being this long-winded when Minds Beneath Us, or MBU, has this much going on? You'll play as Jason Dye, underachieving, unemployed, and uninteresting on the outside, possessed by a rogue consciousness that gives you superhuman reflexes on the inside. Together, your original consciousness and this surprisingly agreeable mind-controlling rogue consciousness, which refers to itself as an MBU, will work together to juggle a borderline impossible list of competing interests, including a work-obsessed and pretty out-of-your-league fiancé-to-be, a super-involved multi-part interview process at a local flop farm, whatever the hell this thing is, and a corporate underbelly run by rival super soldiers you and your girlfriend inadvertently stumble into headfirst. Before you know it, you're working alongside one of those super soldiers, the uncompromising and philosophically driven killing machine Nin Situ, and her eclectic support staff. Simultaneously, Jason must learn the ins and outs of Silencio, a flop farm that, and this is real, generates power by hiring predominantly poor, desperate people to willingly chain themselves for years to a hive-minded supercomputer that converts brainwaves into electricity. I mean, what could go wrong, right? Go figure, Silencio is a controversial operation, even internally, and during your interview process, you'll get caught in the middle of an existential office politics battle between Silencio's two operational halves. Screening, the group in charge of contracting all of those poor people, or juicers as they're derogatorily referred to in-game, and Ops, the operational crew tasked with racking those juicers, a process so disturbing that Ops would rather see the flop farm shut down entirely. Along the way, the choices you make in each of these storylines will dramatically affect MBU's plot, characters, and dialogue, all of which I'm giving very high marks for originality and memorableness, if that's a word. Alas, while its story is excellent, it's about all MBU has to offer. As noted earlier, MBU plays like a visual novel first and a video game second, so if you don't like reading while you're gaming, you could probably just stop watching this review right now. For everyone still here, MBU only features a handful of quick-time event combat sequences, and they're pretty bad. If you somehow manage to lose one, the game will just reload and let you try again. There's equally little here in the way of non-combat mechanics, which surprised me. Not once does MBU, a game about cyber stealth, heists, and hacking, ask you to do any of that. You'll never hack a computer, disable an alarm, rewire enemy AI, solve a simple puzzle. It's bizarre how little gameplay there is here. As a consequence, you'll rarely have to interact with MBU's subpar user interface, which lacks some basic accessibility options and makes clicking through the game's thousands of dialogue prompts a real chore. What you will have to interact with are elevators. Good gravy does this game love trapping you in an elevator and forcing you to click through minutes of unskippable monologuing from Silencio's troubled employees, all of whom seem weirdly ready to disclose their innermost thoughts to you, a nobody who started working here 2 days ago. To clarify, again, the dialogue is good, if a little heavy on the exposition. What pisses me off, though, is the inability to skip it. Time and time again, I'd accidentally lock myself into a rambling NPC speech that I really wished I could cut short. It doesn't help that MBU's world, despite its incredible premise, consists of about 8 tiny locations you'll visit dozens of times each, and several of these locations are near identical floors of the same flop farm. While the game's final act does open things up a bit, it's arguably too little too late. That leaves us with style. MBU features an interesting blend of faceless, hand-drawn 2D characters and 3D environments. I very much enjoyed this interesting aesthetic and can't recall seeing anything like it. The same cannot be said for MBU's simple if atmospheric synth soundtrack and unremarkable sound effects. In the end, Minds Beneath Us is a fresh narrative take on the increasingly saturated cyberpunk genre. While it offers little to nothing in the way of actual gameplay, I still found myself engaged and intrigued 20 hours later. I think the game is appropriately priced at $20, so I'm giving it an aggregate megascore of 3.08 out of 5. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the game or my review, and thanks for watching.